Last month, the engineer who leads Claude Code at Anthropic walked into a workshop in San Francisco and said something that quietly broke a 3 year default. His name is Thariq Shihipar. He said, I have totally stopped editing Markdown files. I asked Claude to edit them. And then he published a companion site with 20 self contained HTML files, every one of them generated by Claude Code, every one of them showing a real use case where HTML structurally beats Markdown. PR reviews with rendered diffs and margin annotations, design systems with clickable color swatches, animation sandboxes with sliders, deploy pipelines drawn as actual flowcharts, implementation plans with risk tables and data flow diagrams, and the part most people missed. He attaches an HTML explanation file to every pull request he opens. The team reads them at orders of magnitude higher rates than they read his Markdown descriptions. So today, I'm going to walk you through his entire playbook. The 9 categories where HTML wins, the exact single file rules he puts in every prompt, his magic interview me trigger, the Markdown plus HTML companion workflow, the template plus JSON data pattern that keeps Git diffs clean, 5 paste ready prompts you can copy tonight, the 5 cases where Markdown still wins, so you do not overswing, and the 5 mistakes that cost me a week before I figured them out. Credit upfront. Source is Thariq's talk and his HTML effectiveness site. Everything I add is the operator layer on top. Let's go. Before we talk about why HTML wins, let me show you exactly where Markdown breaks. Because this is the part that took me too long to admit. Markdown is brilliant for the things it was designed for: paragraphs, lists, links, code blocks, simple tables. It stops there. And for most of what you actually want to give an agent or a teammate, simple tables is where the road ends. Failure 1, length. Thariq put it plainly. Nobody really reads a Markdown file longer than 100 lines. Past that, the eyes glaze. There are no tabs. There are no collapsible sections. There is no table of contents that actually folds out and folds back. It is a flat scroll. The longer your spec, the less of it gets read. Failure 2, visual ideas. The moment you need a diagram, a flowchart, a side by side mockup, a color swatch, an architecture box, and arrow drawing, Markdown taps out. You end up either linking to an external image which goes stale or pasting an ASCII art monstrosity that no one squints at twice. Failure 3, sharing. To share a Markdown file, you either send a raw text file the recipient has to open in a renderer, or you paste it into a tool. HTML, you upload one file to S3, you get a link. The recipient clicks, the artifact renders in their browser fully formed. Failure 4, no interaction. Markdown is read only. If your spec has a parameter the reader might want to tune, a date range to filter, a flag to toggle, Markdown cannot represent it. HTML can. A slider in HTML is 15 lines of JavaScript, 4 failure modes, all of them quietly compounding. Once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Here are the 5 reasons Thariq says HTML beats Markdown for specs and agent outputs. Reason 1, information density. HTML can carry tables, inline SVG, CSS, JavaScript, base64 encoded images, and interactive widgets all in one file. You are not choosing between text and diagram. You are choosing both. Reason 2, readability at scale. The 100-line ceiling I just mentioned, HTML walks right past it. Tabs, collapsible sections, responsive layouts that adapt from your laptop to your phone, sticky table of contents. A 2000-line HTML spec still reads cleanly. Reason 3, sharing efficiency. HTML renders natively in a browser. No conversion, no tooling. Upload one file to S3 or any CDN, send the link, done. The artifact is the deliverable. Reason 4, two-way interaction. JavaScript turns a static document into a tool. Sliders that let the reader tune duration and easing. Buttons that regenerate prompts with different inputs. Drag and drop ticket boards. Feature flag editors that export a diff. Your spec stops being read and starts being explored. Reason 5, the joy factor. People actually open these. Thariq's PRs with HTML explainers get orders of magnitude more engagement than the same content in Markdown. Now, the honest trade off. HTML costs 2 to 4 times the tokens of plain Markdown. A full HTML artifact runs around 5,400 output tokens versus around 1100 for the Markdown version. Inside Opus, 4.7's 1 million token window. That cost is negligible for any deliverable that gets shared. For drafts, you are throwing away. Stay in Markdown. For artifacts, you want people to actually consume. The math works. Now the tour. Thariq's companion site has 20 HTML files grouped into 9 categories. I'll walk you through all 9 because seeing the categories is what unlocks the prompt vocabulary. Category 1, Exploration and Planning. Side by side comparisons of 3 approaches to the same problem with trade-offs, called out in line. Visual design variants rendered live for evaluation. Implementation plans with timelines, milestones, data flow diagrams, and risk assessments. Category 2, Code Review and Comprehension. Rendered diffs with margin annotations and severity tags. PR write-ups covering motivation, changes, and the focus areas reviewers should hit. Module visualizations with boxes, arrows, and highlighted execution paths. Category 3, Design. Living design systems with color tokens, type scales, spacing tokens, straight from the repo. Component variants showing every state and size in a single view. Category 4, Prototyping. Animation sandboxes with sliders for duration and easing. Linked screens demonstrating real interactive user flows. Category 5, Illustrations and diagrams. Inline SVG figure sheets ready for blog posts. Annotated flowcharts for deploy pipelines and architecture. Category 6, Decks. Keyboard navigable slide decks with no external tool. Ship them straight from a single file. Category 7, Research and Learning. Feature explainers with summaries, steps, FAQs, and collapsible deep dives. Concept teaching pages with glossaries and visual comparisons. Category 8, Reports. Status reports with shipping progress and visual indicators. Incident. Post-mortems with timelines, logs, and follow-up items. Category 9, Custom editing interfaces. Drag and drop ticket boards with Markdown export. Feature flag editors with dependency warnings. Prompt tuners with live rendering as sample inputs change. 9 categories, 20 files. every one of them generated by Claude Code in a single shot. The takeaway is not that you need to memorize the list. The takeaway is that the next time you are about to write a Markdown spec, ask yourself which of these 9 buckets your spec actually falls into and let the right format follow. Now, the prompting move that powers all of this. Thariq calls it the magic word. 2 words actually. Interview me. Here is the pattern. Most people open Claude Code, type a long detailed prompt, hit enter, and hope for the best. The result is usually a wall of code that hits 70% of what you wanted, missed 30, and now you are negotiating in reverse. Thariq's approach. Open Claude Code, type one sentence. Build me an HTML status report for last week. And then add the magic phrase. Interview me first. Claude flips modes. Instead of generating, it asks, who is the audience? Your manager or your team? What time window? Last 7 days or the current sprint? Which metrics matter? Shipping velocity or incident count or both? Do you want it print ready for a PDF export or screen first for a Slack share? 5 or 6 questions later, Claude has the actual spec, in your words, with constraints you would not have remembered to type up front. Then it generates, and the first pass is closer to what you actually wanted than any one shot prompt would have been. 2 specific upgrades. 1. Add the line, if anything is ambiguous, ask, do not assume. That keeps Claude from overfilling. 2. After the interview, ask Claude to print back the spec it inferred before generating. 5 seconds of confirmation saves 5 minutes of region. Interview me. Use this on every non trivial HTML artifact. It is the single highest leverage prompting habit in Thariq's workflow. Now, the rules. If you take one thing from this video, take this block. Every single HTML artifact Thariq generates is single file. No external CSS, no external JavaScript, no CDN imports, no remote images, no Google fonts, no network calls at runtime. The artifact must work offline, must render the same on any machine, and must be one file you can attach to a PR, paste into a chat, or open in a browser 10 years from now. Here are the exact constraints to put in your prompt. 1. CSS inline or in a style tag in the head. Never linked external sheets. 2. JavaScript inline in a script tag. No imports from UNPKG or JSDeliver or any other CDN. 3. Images as base64 inside the src attribute or inline SVG, never remote URLs. 4. System fonts only. System-UI, sans serif, monospace. No Google fonts, no Adobe fonts. 5. No fetch calls. No XHR. No live API requests. The artifact runs the same with the Wi-Fi off. Why these rules matter? Without them, you get artifacts that break the moment a CDN goes down, an asset gets deleted, or the recipient is offline. With them, the HTML file is forever. Open it in 5 years, it still renders. One bonus constraint that almost everyone skips. Add the line, respect WCAG, 2.2 AA accessibility, descriptive alt text, minimum 4.5 to 1 color contrast, logical focus order. Without that prompt, Claude will hit it sometimes. With it, every time. Copy this whole block into a snippet in your editor. Paste it into every HTML generation prompt. 5 rules, the single biggest lever in the whole playbook. Now, the workflow question everyone asks: if HTML is so great for delivery, what is Markdown for? Thariq's answer is the cleanest one I've heard. Markdown is for editing, HTML is for sharing. Markdown is the source of truth, HTML is the rendered execution. For any significant feature spec, you maintain two files side by side: feature.md, the source of truth, versioned in Git. Anyone can edit it, including your teammates who do not want to think about HTML. Markdown diffs cleanly. It plays nicely with code review. It indexes well for search. Feature.html. The visual execution. Generated by Claude reading the Markdown. This is the file you attach to the PR. This is the file you upload to S3 and link in Slack. This is what stakeholders actually open. The flow is: edit the Markdown. Run a command like Claude Regan feature, which is just a slash command you set up once that reads feature.md and regenerates feature.html. Commit both. The HTML div in Git will be noisy. That is fine. You mostly do not read it. The Markdown div is the human readable change. This solves what Thariq calls the co-authoring bottleneck. Without it, only people who can read HTML can edit your specs, which is most of your team locked out. With it, anyone touches the Markdown, the HTML regenerates, and the rendered version stays in sync. One rule that matters here: the Markdown is the source of truth. If they disagree, the Markdown wins. Always regenerate the HTML from the Markdown, never the other way around. Otherwise, you will drift. Here is the pattern that turns a brittle one of HTML file into a reusable artifact. It is called template plus JSON data. The problem it solves is this. Imagine you generate a beautiful HTML audit report. Next month, you want to do the same report with new numbers. If your data is baked into the HTML, your Git diff is a 1500 line nightmare and nothing is reusable. Thariq's pattern separates the two. Your file has three sections. 1. The data block, a script tag with type application /JSON and an ID, holding all the variable content as a JSON object. Title, rows, dates, totals, everything. 2. The template. Reusable HTML templates inside template tags. One per repeated element. A row template, a card template, a section template. 3. The render script. A small piece of JavaScript at the bottom that parses the JSON, clones the template nodes, fills in the values, and appends them to the DOM. Now, what happens? Next month, you want a new report. You change the JSON. You do not touch the template. Your Git diff is 50 lines instead of 1500. The structure stays stable. The data flows through it. Why this matters in practice? It turns your HTML artifacts into mini applications. You can have one report template that ships across 10 clients with 10 different JSON blobs. You can have one prompt tuner template fed by different sets of sample inputs. The pattern is small. The leverage is enormous. Add it to every artifact that will be regenerated. Skip it for one-offs. Easy rule. If you will produce it more than once, separate template from data. Now the part you came for. 5 paste ready prompts. Memorize the structure, then customize the contents. Prompt 1. Onboarding variants. Generate 6 markedly different approaches to onboarding a new user. Show them in a single HTML file in a grid so I can compare side by side. Each card should have a name, a screenshot, mockup with inline SVG, the trade-offs, and a one-sentence verdict. Apply the single file constraints. Add interview me first if you want Claude to clarify audience and tone before generating. Prompt 2. PR review. Help me review this PR by creating an HTML artifact. Read the diff. Render the actual changes with inline margin annotations. Color code findings by severity, high in red, medium in amber, low in gray. Add a navigation panel listing all findings with anchor links. Single file. Print ready for export. Prompt 3. Technical explainer. Read the code in this directory and produce an HTML explainer page. Include a flow diagram of the request path, the 3 to 4 most important code snippets annotated in line, a glossary of terms a new engineer would not know, and a gotchas section at the bottom. Single file constraints. Aim for a 45-minute read for a junior on the team. Prompt 4. Deploy flowchart. Given the contents of this .github/workflows directory, create a single HTML page that draws our deploy pipeline as a flowchart. Each step is a box. Each transition is an annotated arrow. Hover state shows the underlying job. Add a legend. Single file, single file, single file. Prompt 5. Incident report. Take this incident transcript and produce a post-mortem HTML page. Include a timeline with timestamps, a list of contributing factors, a 5 whys analysis, the user impact, and the action items with owners and due dates. Print ready because someone is going to PDF this for the next board meeting. 5 prompts. Save them. Customize them. Ship them. Now the part most reposts of Thariq's talk skip, and it is the part that keeps you from overswinging. Here are the 5 places where Markdown still wins. Carve out 1. Repository readmes. GitHub renders Markdown natively. Search indexes Markdown beautifully. Every contributor can edit a README in a pull request without thinking. Your README should stay Markdown. Always. Carve out 2. Slack and Discord snippets. Universal code fence format. Renders correctly in every chat client. HTML inside a chat message is either stripped or sandboxed into useless. Stay in Markdown. Carve out 3. Docs that feed a retrieval pipeline. If your documentation is being indexed by a RAG system, embedded into a vector store, or fed back into another LLM, you want Markdown. Models were trained on more Markdown than HTML. Indexers chunk Markdown more cleanly. HTML is noise. Stay in Markdown. Carve out 4. Git blame and historical diffs. If you actually read Git blame on your docs, line by line history of who changed what, when, and why. You want Markdown. HTML diffs are chaos. Stay in Markdown. Carve out 5. Personal memos and short scratch notes. If the document lives less than a day, the regeneration cost of HTML exceeds the value. A Markdown to-do list, a meeting note, a quick thought, all Markdown. Thariq's operational rule, and write this one down. HTML when the document has a third-party reader who will not modify it. Markdown when the document is collaborative, indexed, or destined for an automated pipeline. The format is a tool. Match it to the job. Overswinging into HTML for everything is the same mistake people are making with Markdown today, just in the other direction. 5 mistakes I made in the first 30 days running this workflow, so you do not repeat them. Mistake 1: Token cost spiral. I started generating long HTML artifacts for every conversation, including drafts I was going to throw away. By week 2, my Claude usage was up 4x, and most of the artifacts were never opened. Fix: Markdown for drafts, HTML for deliverables. The line is, will more than one person actually open this? If no, stay in Markdown. Mistake 2: Refeeding HTML as context. I started a new session, pasted a previous HTML artifact in as background, and Claude burned 6,000 tokens, parsing styling that did not matter. Fix: Before refeeding, ask Claude to summarize the HTML as a one paragraph Markdown briefing. Feed the briefing, not the file. If the new task needs the full HTML, attach the file path. Do not paste the body. Mistake 3: Skipping accessibility. The first 10 artifacts I shipped had 3:1 contrast, no alt text, and tab order in a random sequence. Two teammates with vision issues said the artifacts were unreadable. Fix: Add the WCAG line to every prompt. No exceptions. Audit one artifact a week with Lighthouse. Mistake 4: Using HTML for collaborative docs. I tried to make our team's planning doc an HTML file. Two teammates could not edit it without breaking the styles. We lost a week. Fix: Collaborative docs plus anything more than 2 people edit weekly stays in Markdown. Refer back to the carve-outs. Mistake 5: Forgetting print CSS. I generated a beautiful audit report. Stakeholder tried to print it for a board meeting. The screen view did not paginate. Half the content was clipped. Fix: For any artifact that might be printed, prompt for at media print CSS with page break controls and A4 sizing baked in. 2 extra lines of CSS. Saved every report after that. 5 mistakes, save the 30 days. I packaged this whole playbook into a free PDF called the HTML Spec Operator Playbook. 10 sections. The 5 reasons HTML wins with the token cost numbers. The 9 categories. Everyone explained with a paste ready example prompt. The exact single file constraints block ready to drop into any prompt. The interview me trigger and how to wire it into a slash command. The Markdown plus HTML companion workflow with the Claude Regan setup. The template plus JSON data pattern broken down line by line. 5 complete paste ready prompts. The 5 carve outs where Markdown still wins with the operational rule. The 5 mistakes and the exact fix for each. And on the last page, the 4 paid guides if you want to go deeper. To get the playbook, comment the word HTML below this video. I will send it to you. One last thing. Subscribe does not equal follow on Facebook. On Facebook, subscribe is the supporter button, the one that keeps the lights on. On YouTube, subscribe is free, and it tells the algorithm to send you more videos like this one. 90% of the people watching right now are not subscribed. If this helped you, hit subscribe. subscribe early, win early. Big credit to Thariq Shihipar and the Anthropic team for the original talk and the HTML effectiveness companion site. If this video added value, the kindest thing you can do is go watch the original and share it. Comment HTML. Hit subscribe. I will see you in the next one.